Namaste. We are starting this webinar a few minutes late because of some technical snag. Please bear with it. We are now plunging into the topic. The topic of this webinar is only the infinite can bless us with happiness. The basis for this statement is a much quoted mantra from the Chāndogya Upanishad. Nārada, very accomplished and having numerous branches of knowledge to his credit, meaning very scholarly, is confessing before Sanat Kumāra that he even now is not happy. His sorrow hasn't ended. Some unrest, some uncertainty, some form of insecurity, or some form of complex perhaps, was bothering him. And it is here that Sanat Kumāra laughs at the problem apparently and says, all that you have, knowledge or things, are mere names. In this 7th chapter of Chāndogya Upanishad, to give you in advance the final message, Sanat Kumāra makes it clear that the divisive or separate ego is the cause for endless fear. As long as you and I have a sense of me and we perceive what is called the other, this is me and that is other person. This is me and that is another person. In this way, the other and me is what we are talking about. Maharshi or the great Rishi Sanat Kumāra says, when this separation ends, we would know true happiness. So, mentioning more than 20 levels of inner development, Sanat Kumāra brings us to the highest level possible within the gradation. You know, there is a frame of reference of gradation, that is Taratamya, that is low and high. X is higher than Y, Z is higher than even X, P is higher than even Z, and Q is even higher, R is even higher. In this way, we go from the lower to the higher, and you may say all of them are graded, and therefore the difference is in degree and not in kind. At the top of this ladder, Sanat Kumāra says, ultimately, sukham, that is happiness. Happiness is what makes everybody go for work, makes everybody contemplate, makes everybody imagine. Happiness is what sets in motion this entire universe. But then when Narada asks, is there something higher than happiness? Sanat Kumāra says, call it higher or call it the true source of happiness is bhoomā. Brahman, the supreme reality, is referred to as bhoomā in Chāndogya Upanishad, chapter 7. Let me read for you the 23rd section, the first mantra, in this 7th chapter of Chāndogya Upanishad from Samaveda. In fact, this 23rd khanda has only one mantra. So I can call it the first mantra or the last mantra or the mantra in the middle. It is everything. The 23rd khanda goes like this. Yo vai bhoomā tat sukham nālpe sukham-asti bhūmaiva sukham bhoomā tu eva vijidnāsitavyah iti bhūmānam bhagavo vijidnāse iti. Sanat Kumāra says, only bhoomā is happiness. Everything else is not happiness. I tell you why vairagya is emphasized to the utmost degree in the study of Vedanta. Whenever vairagya is not ripe, knowingly or unknowingly, we are looking for happiness in countless objects of the world, positions of the world, pleasures of the world, relationships of the world. Above all, you and I, when our vairagya is not intense, look for happiness in a certain self-image. We are very attached to how people look at us, how people talk about us. Within a family, or maybe within a town, or maybe worldwide, does not matter. Whether you want to be looked at with awe, with admiration by one person, maybe living in your own house, your spouse, your son, or you want to be looked at with admiring eyes by everybody around the world, the qualitative matter is the same. This is called attachment to self-image. Vedanta says you are not the image that either you have of yourself or others have of you. This image is no other than aham vritti. I am a man, I am an officer, I am a middle-aged person, I am a person belonging to high income group, and so on and so forth. Countless ways we cling to an idea of who I am or who we are. Bhoomā, as per Sanat Kumāra, is when this I, which has a boundary, disappears. How does Sanat Kumāra define this infinite? By the way, the word infinite is in contrast to finite. When we define ourselves, even as the owner or chairman or founder or CEO of a most successful multinational company, from a philosophical point of view, the moment you have described yourself, however wonderful it may look, you have put a boundary around yourself and you are finite. An emperor also is finite. Perhaps you know how Birbal once said to Akbar, "You are greater than God." No doubt Akbar felt good about it, but demanded an explanation. How do you say I am greater than God? And Birbal very wittily said, God cannot send anybody out of his kingdom. You can. Infinity doesn't have anything outside it. Infinity is all inclusive. Whereas the finite, even if someone is an emperor, Shah and Shah, has limitations. The largest kingdom, about the British Empire, it used to be said in the first half of the 20th century, the sun never sets on the British Empire. For somewhere in some part of the world where the British were ruling, the sun would be shining any time in the 24 hours. Bernard Shaw made a witty comment on that. The sun never sets on the British Empire because even the sun does not trust the British, he joked. Coming back, the infinite is where philosophically there is no other. Bhoomā is infinite. Bhoomā, Adi Shankara says, is Mahat and Niratishayam. Mahat means huge. What do you mean by huge? Niratishaya, unsurpassed. So it is unbounded. Now, in the very next khanda or section, Sanat Kumāra points out what bhoomā is, in which and in which alone you and I can truly get happiness. He says, Yatra nānyat pashyati, nānyat shrunoti, nānyat vijanati, sa bhoomā. That is bhoomā, the infinite, where one doesn't see any other. One does not hear any other. One does not know any other. This can be quite confusing to a novice. Someone who has exposed herself or himself to the language of Vedanta would be able to appreciate this. The other is not in physical terms. The sense of other is psychological, is in the mind. You see somebody, now your perception, even on a simple lower level, could be, oh, here is my enemy. He is going to harm me. Or your perception could be, here is my own man. He is going to help me. We are friends for a long time. Now, this is on an ethical and moral level. It is said wise people, pious people, pure-hearted people look at the whole world as their own family. Udara charitanantu vasudha eva kutumbakam. Vasudhaiva kutumbakam is much quoted. Different religions claim that we have universal brotherhood. However, it is easier said than done. A religion, any religion, I am not referring to any particular religion, which may pride over having a certain universal brotherhood, unfortunately doesn't look at those who do not subscribe to their views as brothers. So, true universal brotherhood is, no matter what the views and beliefs of others are, you look at everybody as your brother. So, yatra nānyat pashyati is a matter of perception where you have undergone a radical change. I am never tired of quoting Ramana Maharshi, who was once asked, will somebody serve others? Please mark the words. Will somebody serve others after his enlightenment? And Maharshi's reply was, after somebody's enlightenment, there are no others. That is how we regard the sage of Arunachala echoing, giving the same principles or the truths of the Upanishads. Following enlightenment, there are no others. Think of himself. Sri Ramana Maharshi received people of various backgrounds in Tiruvannamalai, and he received them all with a sense of they were him and he was them, which he only would know. We would not be able to see him or read his mind. Yatra na anyat pashyati. It doesn't mean that you don't see a table or chair. It doesn't mean that in that bhoomā avasthiti, you don't see a brother or sister, your mother or father. Rather, even as on a certain transactional level, there is seeing. You see a tree, you see a mountain, you see a river, but your mind is freed from fear, it's freed from greed, it is freed from wanting to acquire, wanting to become somebody. You see a rich man and you want to become like him. You see a powerful person, president of a country, and suppose you wish, how nice it would be if I were the president of the country. This is the desire to become. Even spiritual teachers, suppose, entertain a thought. I want to be a popular spiritual speaker. I want to be a very well received spiritual writer. I want students, disciples, devotees, followers around the world. That is wanting to become. The mind that does not want to become is free of duality. When we say the mind does not want to become, we don't mean a dull mind, a dead mind, or a mind that has turned into some furniture. Mind that is very alert, in fact, is free from desire to become. In life, there is becoming anyhow from a third party point of view. Whether you like or not, you get older. Whether you want it or not, you will occupy various positions. You will sit on various chairs. So this happens anyhow. But our point is, in your heart, do you want to become? Do you attach value? Or you take things as things come to you in life? There will be a big difference. Yatra nanyat pashyati nanyat shrinoti sa bhoomā. And to make it clearer or to emphasize it, Sanat Kumāra says, Atha yatra anyat pashyati, anyat shrinoti, anyat vijanati, tat alpam. In contrast to the word bhoomā, we have the word alpa, alpam, that is finite. And yo vai bhoomā, tad amrutam. When we go to a state of consciousness where there is no other, where in the first place there is no ego, erasure of the ego. Once more, I must say, it is no wonder that Ramana Maharshi emphasized erasure of ego above everything else. Any problem you take to him, he would ask, who has this problem? When you say, I have this problem, he would say, find out who you are. What is this I? Who am I? So here it is said, Yo vai bhoomā tad amrutam ata yad alpam tad martyam. Moment in your understanding, in your perception, you are finite. You are somebody. You are here and you got to go there. You are a clerk and you want to become an officer. You are an MP and you want to become a PM. Some way or the other, when there is a certain cocooning of yourself, that is martya. You may become PM, you may become officer, you may become president. No matter what you become, you think any of them will give you lasting happiness? They make you happy for a little while, and it will be no surprise if you say, I thought my problems ended by coming to this position, but now it seems my problems actually began here. I have more problems now than what I had before. So, yad alpam tad martyam. And Narada is really excited. Narada gets a glimpse of the true source of happiness. And then when Narada asks him for a little more on this bhoomā, Sanat Kumāra gets into more poetry, but not poetry of the nature of mere visualization or imagination. Rather, Sanat Kumāra speaks the truth that he sees clearly in a poetic language, we have the 25th khanda section in the same chapter 7 of Chāndogya Upanishad. He says, you want to know what bhoomā is? Sa eva adastat, it is below. Sa eva uparishtat, it is above. Sa paschat, it is behind. Sa purastat, it is in front. Sa dakshinataha, it is to your right. Sa uttarataha, it is to your left. Or take dakshina as south, uttara as north, that is fine too. Sa eva idagam sarvam iti. Friends, in some sense, you and I have to struggle, do sadhana, study, meditate, do japa, serve others, 100 things. But in another way, enlightenment involves one leap. Enlightenment is a matter of not moving gradually from point to point. It is a matter of waking up. It is a matter of laying aside our sense of who we are. Therefore, we call it a leap, a one-shot brilliancy, as they would put it. So it is said here that our idea of I am here, I am this, I am with such self-worth, I am with such net worth or whatever, this whole idea has to be at one go dropped. Everything else then loses its meaning. Everything else seems to be climbing up to this maturity, but to do justice to the topic, there is no climbing up, there is no climbing down, there is just this leap from an error to a seeing of no error. That's where it is. And Sanat Kumāra says that he had no doubt mentioned in the chapter that you would study, in chapter 7, in his discourse, so to say, a number of levels of greater maturity, greater self-empowerment. In fact, someone like Robin Sharma should write a book on chapter 7 of Chāndogya Upanishad. These people who write on leadership, on self-development, on becoming effective, highly effective and whatnot, will find a lot of wonderful material in chapter 7 of Chāndogya Upanishad. I would like to read one more mantra before concluding. This bhoomā, this infinite, this undivided consciousness, this perception where there are no others as distinct from oneself, where there is silence, where there is pure alertness, where one sees oneself not at all bound to any particular description. This one is said to be where you arrive. Now, before arriving there, one could talk of within the avidya bhumi, within the domain of ignorance, there are numerous levels, and more than 20 levels were talked of by Sanat Kumāra himself. In fact, as I said a while ago, when Nārada gave a long list of branches of knowledge which he had mastered, Sanat Kumāra just smiled and said, all these are mere name. They are mere nama. And nama is superseded by vak, speech. Speech is superseded by manaha. Higher than manaha is sankalpa, higher is chittam, higher is dhyanam, higher is vijnanam, higher is balam, higher is annam. Then there is apaha, then there is tejaha, then there is akashaha. Smaraha, asha, pranaha, satya, vijnana, mati, shraddha, nishta, kriti, sukham, and so on. Some count it as 22 levels before you arrive at bhoomā. Some count up to 29, and then bhoomā is the 30th. But let me Once more remark that 1 to 29 are different in degree. 30th one, bhoomā, is not one more extension, it is a leap. When you arrive at bhoomā, 1 to 29 vanish. Saint Meera, I believe, wrote this bhajan where she said, "With great difficulty I crossed the river of Maya, and after crossing the river of Maya, when I looked back, there was no river at all." This is what we mean by the quantum leap. Sanat Kumāra says in the last mantra of 7th chapter of Chāndogya, "Tasya hava etasya evam pashyatah evam manvanasya evam vijanatah." When one has this vision, which is possible through, on one hand, equipping ourselves with viveka, vairagya and so on, which we generally neglect in this Kali Yuga, without paying enough attention to Shama, Dhamma, etc., taking a lot of liberty about all that, we just want to attend Vedanta classes and hope that we'll just get enlightened. We have to be very watchful of our lapses from Viveka, Vairagya, Shama, Dhamma and so on. Intense awareness of the compromises we make in life will naturally lead to the elimination of our weaknesses. There is no other requirement. One should not imagine that it is very hard or great struggle and so on. If you know the contradiction you are living in, that is going to remove the contradiction. Now, Sanat Kumāra says, when one is enlightened, when one stays in that highest perception, when one is one with bhoomā, then all the earlier levels of empowerment, self-development, call it as you may, are seen to be included in this. The infinity includes everything. All of them are appearances in the domain that sits lightly, so to say, on Brahma, on bhoomā. It's an error domain. Actually, bhoomā alone is. However, if someone is still asking from the point of view of the error domain, the teacher would say, all those 22 factors or 29 factors arise and submerge in bhoomā. The snake arises in the rope and merges back in the rope. Actually, there is no snake at all. There is only the rope. So the mantra goes, evam vijanatah, to someone who has this highest wisdom, atmatah pranaha, atmatah asha, atmatah smaraha, atmatah akashah, atmatah tejaha, atmatah apaha. This tejaha and this apaha, this smaraha and akashaha, this asha and this prana, they are the 22 factors or more. Atmataha avirbhavatiro bhavo, atmataha annam, atmataha bhalam. It is from the Atma, which is one with bhoomā. It is from within. This, apart from the philosophical perspectives, on a simpler note, has the significant suggestion to make that you have everything within you. Sometimes in moments of despair, you may feel so low. You may feel, I am nothing, I am nobody, I am helpless, I am powerless, I am a gone case, whatnot. Upanishads are here to say that is an erroneous notion. You actually have everything within you. Look at the list. Atmataha balam. All strength comes from within, not from outside, not from some money you have or the position you have, not from having powerful people as your contacts. It's from within. Tap it from within. Kainopanishad says that, right? Atmano vindate viryam, vidyaya vindate amritam. So Atmana vindate viryam. There the word used is virya. Here it is balam. Atmataha vijnanam, atmataha dhyanam, atmataha chittam, atmataha sankalpaha, atmataha manaha, atmataha vak. To speak rightly, to speak at the right time, to speak just as much as is needed, and not to speak what is not appropriate. Vak. This vak comes from within you. Atmataha nama, atmataha mantraha, atmataha karmani. This mantra giving a list of wonderful, very desirable abilities or faculties or skills or talents, as you may call, is the Upanishad's way of saying there is so much within you, no matter who you are, how low you may feel at this moment, irrespective of your background, no matter whether you are from a certain privileged community or an underprivileged community, so on and so forth. No matter who you are, all of us, everyone is Atma, and everyone from within oneself can tap and bring forth all that one desires. Contemplating on a mantra like this, we should actually look within. We should not waste all our time running behind things of the world. If we have a sense of duty towards things, it's understandable. Do your duty. Spirituality never says run away from your duty. But any honest person would agree that for a little of duty that you and I do in a day, we actually go after a lot of other things which are because of our moha. Duty is not really taking all our time. Along with duty, it is our delusion, it is our fancies, it is our false beliefs, or sometimes it is sheer habit. Therefore, Jagrata, Jagrata, take some time off, look at yourself, slow down, understand, and more you discover things from within. Number one, duties also fall in place. Number two, you will find such wonderful happiness, strength, courage, transparency, openness, everything you will discover. Upanishads provide the key to this immense self-discovery. Om Namah Shivaya. Please feel free to ask a question, make a comment, or anything else you would like to do. Let me see. Yes, Vijay Lakshmi has already raised her hand. I unmute. It says self-muted. Did you mute it yourself? Oh, I am unable to unmute it. Vijay Lakshmi, can you try to unmute yourself? Your mic is muted.
I think she is on telephone. She'll not be able to do it, Swamiji.
Then I ask her to write a text question, and we have now Ranjan Desai. How come I am not able to unmute his mic also? I think for a moment it became blue. Yes, now it is blue. Yes, Ranjan.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Namaskar, Swamiji. It's nice to hear you again. I have two questions actually. Like the first one is we see in Bhagavad Gita about they talk about it's the present karma, past karma, and all. Does the Upanishads also somewhere have this karma philosophy? They say that. And which one is that? And then the second question was, it's about the you have consciousness and atma in the body, right? So the Kathopanishad talks about the life after death, but why does the atma leave the body itself? Like, you know, is the answer just consciousness is, or what's the reason for that?
Okay, so the first question about karma, the Upanishads do talk about karma. For example, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is an emphatic statement, Punyena karmana punyo bhavati, papena karmana papaha bhavati. If you and I commit sinful deeds, we become sinful, we become sinners, and our future will be dark. If we perform meritorious deeds, punyena, we become meritorious people, go to higher regions of consciousness. And Kathopanishad has a line, yata karma, yata shrutam. As per our karma and as per our previous learning, we get our next life. Coming to your second question, consciousness, why does it leave at all? See, the word consciousness is used on two levels. The pure consciousness, that is bhoomā in this webinar, doesn't move. It cannot move. It is all pervasive. There is no place where it isn't there. So when we say consciousness leaves a body and takes another body, the implication is what we call the conditioned consciousness, which is a mere appearance actually, but within the domain of error, these appearances look very real. So it is like the sun up in the sky is one, and a reflection of the sun in a bucket of water, that is another. So the image of the sun in a bucket of water can be transferred to another bucket. Pour all the water here to another pot and you see the reflection there. Likewise, the subtle body, the sukshma sharira, the conditioned consciousness has movement. Its source is the pure consciousness, which has no movement at all. In order to understand and appreciate the pure consciousness, we need the quality of right study, right attention, and so on. Therefore, I repeatedly use two expressions, the frame of reference of ignorance, avidya bhoomī, and the frame of reference of wisdom, vidya bhoomī. In vidya bhoomī, the all-pervasive consciousness alone is, there is no movement, there is no karma, there is no punya, there is no papa. But in the avidya bhoomī, the frame of reference of erroneous perception, first of all, the ego rises in it only. The ego also is part of this error domain. The ego and its joy and sorrow, the ego and its merit and sin, all of them are in the avidya bhoomī. Upanishads are meant to nullify the error domain, which once more is error. It is not something that really exists. So the first question about karma, all the Upanishads talk about karma. But karma is not the primary topic of Upanishads. Jnana is the primary topic. And second question, pure consciousness doesn't move. Reflected consciousness moves.
Thank you.
Let's see whether... Oh, welcome, Ranjan. So here we have Anita. But this one's perhaps is... Okay, she has a text question. Yeah. Anita asks here, how to recognize duty and delusion? We might think delusion as our duty by ignorance, spend time on that. Yes, perfect. We are all doing that. So, how to recognize? That is where all the spiritual practices come in. A little of any of the spiritual practice. You and I should find out what works out best for us. And maybe to some of us, several things work best. Prayer, meditation, study, spending time with nature, yoga, pranayama. Take one of them, two of them, or many of them, and a small investment in these sharpens our ability to observe. We take delusion as duty because we are not observing properly. My favorite joke is a scout boy helped, quote and unquote, helped an elderly woman cross the road at a traffic signal. But at the end of it, the old lady was very angry with him. And the scout boy said, "Ma'am, I helped you cross the road. It would have been difficult for you." The old lady yelled at him, "You dragged me this side. I actually did not want to cross the road at all. I was just enjoying the city." You know. So the scout boy, in his enthusiasm, imagined that the old lady needed his help. So we also many times impose ourselves on others. We also many times do things thinking that's our duty, whereas the other side will be happy if left alone. So you and I have to examine, and to say once more and conclude the answer, spiritual practices come in handy. To sit quietly by a lake, to sit quietly below a tree for just 5 minutes, or for 10 minutes, will awaken in us that awareness. Ah, this was not my business at all. Why did I get into it? Let me not do it again. In this way, we'll get some realization. Let's see. Now, Dayanand has something written by text. He says, Pranams. God bless you, Dayanand. And now we have Gyandash, himself a webinar presenter. He says, wonderful as usual, and I meant wonderful. Sure. Thank you, Gyanji. Now let me see whether somebody has mic on. Parth has raised a hand. I hope I can unmute his microphone, but here also I am having some. Yes. Yes, Parth.
So I've probably asked a similar question before as well, but I wouldn't mind, hearing your opinion on it again. So in other of your videos, you have again mentioned, say quoting Maharshi Ramana, there are 3 levels of control: A, level B, and level C.
Yeah.
Please correct me if I am misquoting anywhere. And so at level C, you say that there is no control, there is nobody to whom things happen. And in this lecture, in this video,
level C in your model is lowest or the highest?
I am quoting it as the highest. Maybe I'm doing
A is the highest. A is the
okay,
highest.
okay.
So level
And
A,
even,
no control. Right, you are right.
Okay. And even this video, you are saying there are 2 spheres, one of pure consciousness where there is no movement, and the other, where there is self, the ego, the erroneous arena where the self operates, right?
True.
And so I don't understand, say for so that now that we know, the self is in the erroneous sphere, in the erroneous domain.
Yeah.
Now, all this attempt, by the self to better itself and to make itself, make its attachment lighter, or removing its attachment, it's also happening in the realm of the same realm.
Yes,
So
yes.
I'm not sure how that bridge, how this way of doing will help us, or is it possible some way to to drop it right, all everything at the moment, at once. I always have this confusion.
Correct. So you are very right. All self-improvement is within error domain. So it is just like People think when they become rich, their sorrow will end. Many times it is the other way. I mean, it may increase also. Swami Chinmayananda used to very wittily say, all are unhappy in this world. The poor are uncomfortably unhappy. The rich are comfortably unhappy. So, it's a parallel I am drawing. Both the poor and the rich in this world are unhappy. Likewise, those of us who have less attachment and those of us who have more attachment are both unhappy. Only that person who has taken the leap is free. So in Bhakti Yoga, the one word that is used for taking the leap is surrender completely to God. In Jnana Yoga, it is said, watch or observe with no bias whatsoever, with no vested interest whatsoever. Don't say, I'm ready to give up all attachments except this person or this object or, no exception. Are you ready to look at yourself with no bias at all? That is the language of Jnana Yoga. Though classical Vedanta puts it as study Vedanta with no bias, because Vedanta reveals the truth to you. But all these are so difficult. We study the Vedanta already with some phalasakti. Even as we are take up Upanishad study, knowingly or unknowingly, we are looking, how long should I study this and when is transformation going to happen? I am already very tired. So, phalasakti. So, that itself is a bias. Therefore, summarily, the leap takes place in a certain intensity. And how we may come upon that intensity is a mystery. It's difficult to say. We have to begin where we are. We have to gain a greater understanding of the forces that are blocking. In the initial days, we aren't aware at all. We think we are very sincere. We are not. So it is necessary for us to know where we are not sincere, where we are playing a game, leave alone with others. We are playing a game with ourselves. We are deceiving ourselves. There is self-deception in the life of almost everyone. That has to be noticed. Notice it and the doors will open.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Welcome. Maybe on last question we will take up. Is there somebody? Probably not. Okay. Yeah, time is also up. It was wonderful meeting all of you in this webinar. Namaste. Bye till the next webinar.
Pranam Swamiji.
Hari Om.